Just to welcome everyone to this final session of the Big Love Festival. And what an amazing week it's been. My heart is filled with gratitude for all the presentations that have taken place. I genuinely feel moved. At the start, I was feeling quite nervous about how it would all go down, but I've just been overwhelmed. I think it's astonishing what we've seen and how people have responded. So I'd like to say thank you so much for making that possible. I really loved that each presenter brought their own perspective of universal education with the methods that they're working with and the skills they have, but also that there were common threads that ran through all the presentations, themes that kept coming up. So I could talk about this at length. I'm not going to, because today is about Osel. And I just want to briefly thank all our presenters, all of our moderators, our so kind translators for offering their time, their energy, their skill, their patience to make these sessions available to many more people in their language. To our board of trustees, to our funders, without whom none of this is possible, to our team, Angela and Michaela, yay, they know so much more about Zoom now. They could be teaching the Zoom guys something, I'm sure. Our patron, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, if you want to hear what His Holiness shared with us, his message for this festival, it's on our website now, I think. Take a look, very precious advice. And of course, our honorary president, Lama Zopa Rinpoche. And most importantly, you. So not possible to have a festival without people joining, sharing with us, just creating it. So what we'd like to do is have an annual event. So our aspiration is to have this festival every year. So let's say a prayer for that. Hopefully that can happen. FDCW, as you know, is a charity. We do rely on donations. So please consider making a donation today so that we can continue to spread the tools for developing love and compassion and wisdom around the world to as many beings as possible. If you feel you've enjoyed the festival, if you feel your heart's opened, you're feeling big love, please consider paying that forward. One of the key things Lama Zopa Rinpoche said was that universal education is about action. It's not just words, not just blah, 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 blah. And it was actually a theme that came up with all of our presenters, practical advice, practical ways that we can help ourselves and others. There are tons of resources available on our website. I think the videos from the other presentations are also available on the website and eventually will be on our website too. You can follow us on Facebook. But this session today is about Tenzin Ösel Hita Torres. I'm so excited about this. It felt so right to me that Tenzin Ösel Hita Torres would end this festival because, as many of you know, when he was just 14 months old, Osel was formally recognized by His Holiness the Dalai Lama as the reincarnation of Lama Thupten Nyeshe, who is the founder and inspiration for universal education. So to me, there's no other person that should be ending this festival but Osel, and I'm so delighted he's joined us. He's the founder of the Global Tree Initiative, which is a worldwide grassroots volunteer tree planting organization, and I hope we're going to hear more about that in the interview that comes. He's a radical free thinker, he's an environmentalist, he's a humanitarian, he's a documentary filmmaker, he's a musician, a father, a friend, a lifelong student, a former Buddhist monk, and he seeks out non-traditional learning and creative experience, believing every experience is an opportunity to learn and grow. Osel will be interviewed today by Anna Colao. Anna's been active in universal education for more than 10 years, probably longer than that. She developed the 16 to Live By program. Loads of people have downloaded this from our website, from the resources page. This is a program that shares universal values with teenagers and young people, and it's free. She's such an inspiring person, amazing good heart, incredible energy. So while Anna is interviewing Osel, please feel free to use the chat function to write any questions that you might have. And Jackie Keeley has very kindly agreed to go through the chat and pick out questions that we can ask Osel at the end if there's time. So without any further chat from me, over to you, Anna.
Could we have a minute of the song first?
Is there a song available, Michaela? Can we play that?
I'm afraid the starting song isn't ready.
Okay, we can do the song at the end, though.
Okay.
We have got that lined up.
That's fine.
Sorry about that.
Okay, that's all right. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Welcome to the Heart Space. Osel, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Oh, it's so nice to see you.
Thank you, yeah. It's raining, third day raining here. It seems like it's monsoon now. In Catalonia, and these past 3 days, it's been non-stop raining. So we've been indoors for 3 days.
Yeah, Liverpool has also been pretty wet.
Yeah, we need rain.
We need lots of rain, totally. I've got all my bowls outside collecting it to do my plants inside. So I thought we would start because I've been so inspired by all the other amazing sessions and all the tools and everything that's, you know, been shared and explained, that I thought we might pick a 16 guideline card to start the session.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to fan them and you can tell me when to stop, okay? So we'll use the connection.
Okay. Yes, now.
Oh, contentment.
Yeah, this is very important. I think contentment is the basis together with gratitude. Without that, it's very difficult to really work on all the other inner qualities and values that we all have. But without contentment, it's hard, because insatisfaction comes basically from that, from not being content and not being grateful for what we already have. So I think that's a great word. It would be the basis for a happy life.
For sure. I mean, acceptance and contentment, when we live in a society where we're pushed to want more and more, you know, it's actually a very rare thing to feel completely content and at ease with things as they are. Yeah. Oh, okay. So we have some questions, so I'm just going to go through them and we can chat around them however you feel, okay?
Actually,
so
it's a good tool for being in the moment and also for really trying to understand what we have, you know, because if we're content and we're present, we are more aware, you know. So I think it's a great word to start with. Thank you. Unsatisfaction is a big problem in today's world.
Huge. Personal and in the world. Okay, so I mean, I know you've been really busy. I mean, I have a 5-year-old. Norbu's 3 now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a special and precious time. Oh. So so I know that just that alone must be really busy, but I know you're also working on lots of other projects and ideas. And if you could give us an overview of the projects that you're working on at the moment, that would help, because I'm sure there's lots of people here who maybe haven't heard about all the different things that you're doing.
It's top secret.
It's top secret. What about the ones with a website? They're not top secret.
Yeah, well, basically, I mean, for me, if you want to know about my life, it's not very interesting. But if you ask me, I'll answer. So my priority, of course, is Norbu. Norbu is my son, and he's 3 years old. And really, since he was born, I had a much better concept of time. You know, before that, time would pass, and I wasn't really very aware of how much time passed. Now, like when Nobu was born, it seems like 10, 15 years ago, but it's only 3 years. So it's like, okay. It's like, okay, you know, time is, it seems that moves faster, but actually it's not going that fast. So it's, for me, it's a good thing, you know, like I can take my life more steadily now. And of course, I moved to Catalonia to be near Tushita Retreat Center. It's a very special center in the mountains, in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the forest, you know. And it's beautiful. You have no coverage for the phone, you know, like, so you get there, you're completely immersed in nature, surrounded by the animals and the forest. It's really special. And every weekend they do course. Now with the COVID, it's a bit complicated.
Mm-hmm.
So we're on standby. We're also doing courses online. So that's one of also the things that I'm trying to help with, is with Tushita, you know, so that it keeps moving and functioning properly. Then of course, you know, GTI, it's mainly Jackie who runs GTI. Me, I don't really do much. I just have an idea and that's it, you know, and then I talk a lot.
But GTI is, you know, the seed that you have planted is so ripe. I mean, for me, it seems
it was more of to channel energy, to channel people's, you know, vision, like to have something to do together that can unite people, and also at the same time reverse the situation that we are creating right now for the future.
Mm-hmm.
So those two things are complementary. So for me, it was very important, you know, because as an individual, I do live, you know, in society, and I do flush the toilet with the button, and I, you know, I don't know, maybe 1 liter of water when I, you know, I'm not, I try to sometimes, you know, go outside, but normally, like, I live in a house like everybody else.
Yep.
So there's certain aspects of life which are not exactly, they don't coincide with my vision of how I would like to live. You know, for example, many times I have to go shopping, and then I have to buy stuff that has plastic or certain aspects. So I do have a carbon footprint, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So my concern was, how can I at least neutralize that footprint and be able to offer that to others to do that too. So I thought the easiest and most simple basic step is to plant a tree. That's the first step. At least it's active. You're active. You're doing something, and you're also being very considerate for the future, you know, because there's a saying, you know, that says, so, you know, like, somebody who plants a tree without thinking about lying in the shade in the future, you know, that's very big heart, big love. That's, if you want to talk about big love, that's big love. Is when you do something for someone without expecting anything in return for yourself. You know, so we have this planet, an amazing variety of species and animal and possibilities, and of course our body is completely dependent on the air, on the sun, on so many different aspects. You know, we're completely interdependent. You know, so big love is that, you know, I mean, it's to be completely unconditional and to offer an exchange. Just if you think about it, if you really think about it, this body has billions of cells all working simultaneously, super hard, dedicated for you to be able to be alive, you know, and we don't even realize, you know. Imagine if just a few of the cells were as lazy as me. Disaster.
Yeah, I had that problem. I mean, that was my no, so I mean, it's really true. I mean, for me, the Global Tree Initiative is such an amazing method, because the process, like you said, of planting the tree is like the essence of interconnectedness. And when someone can take their mind and their body to that space where they're planting a tree, I mean, yeah, it's really fantastic. I think it's amazing.
That's real love, you know. If you want to talk about love, you know, the unconditional love, it's to recognize that we are alive thanks to love, you know, because first of all, our body, all the billions of cells working, you know, many of them are alive, you know, they have a consciousness. You know, an amoeba is a single-celled animal, but it has a consciousness in a way. Attracted to food, and it doesn't like pain, you know, so it does have that concept that we have also. So we are receiving so much love and care and so much hard work from so many different aspects, even the food we eat. Somebody has to plant it, somebody has to, reap it, sow it, like take it, and then this long process just for the food, or the air, the trees, the photosynthesis, there's just such a huge amount of interdependence constantly happening, which we're not aware of. And that is love in action. Okay, so we are receiving life. In order to be alive, we depend on so many different sentient beings. So in all kinds of dimensions, okay? Even also we depend on our own past existence, karmically. So what we are doing by planting a tree is just saying thank you, basically. It's just giving something back in return to the collective, the same way we receive. Because in the end, it's all about, we're all just universes, we are just interdependent multiverses, that are living simultaneously and sharing so many things, like the sunlight, like the space, the land, so many aspects there every day with everybody. So when you understand that and the depth and how amazingly huge and universal this is, then it's very easy to be able to really love and be and love oneself also, because it's all connected.
And you've actually almost answered my second question without me asking it, obviously. But what would you say your understanding of universal education is, and how would you describe the qualities and the benefits to someone who had never heard about it before? They've got no idea, and you're coming at them and just saying,
yeah, well, of course, I can answer you the answer. Everybody says, oh, in universal education is this and this and this and da. But of course, when you ask me something, I'm always going to answer something different. I like to answer different things, search different aspects, So, and of course, please correct me, okay? If you disagree, if you think I'm wrong, or if you have a doubt, please correct me, because I love to kind of like just improvise many times and just feel and speak and flow through that. So I'm not always 100% correct, obviously, because many times my information is based on my improvisation. So, for example, right now, if you ask me, what is universal education? I would say universal education is the link, the missing link for a very healthy society. The missing link to create the awareness and the consciousness of understanding what life really is. Because if you don't understand life, it doesn't matter. They can teach you how to work. It's not really going to be meaningful for you. Because what we really have to learn is how to live. So it's complementary in that sense. If we know how to live, if they teach us how to live, then of course, we work in order to live, but we don't live to work, right? We agree on that.
Yeah.
So that's why, for me, universal education is the basis, for the future. Like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he mentions a lot that the future is education. So universal education, the word is very specific to the meaning. It means basically universal. What is universal? We are universal. We are all universal beings, right?
Yeah.
You agree with that, right? Because why? Why are we universal?
Because at the heart, we're all connected. We all suffer. We all want happiness, but beyond that is our connection to each other at the deepest subtle level.
Exactly. So, for example, what we have inside here, what is it? Is soul, or a consciousness, or a mind, or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter. There's something. We know there's something. We don't know exactly what it is, right? Yes. So this soul or consciousness, it's linked also with the karma, right?
Yeah.
And the karma comes with intention. So that's why it's universal, because everybody has that. That mechanism. It's like physics, the law of physics, of gravity, for example, is universal for everybody, at least while we're on Earth, where we're inside Earth. So it's the same thing for us. We have a consciousness, and this consciousness doesn't have a beginning or an end. It just is happening constantly. And that's why we're universal beings, because we are all the same in that sense. So when you say universal education, it means to understand that of oneself. Because educate is not to say, oh, you should do this, you should be like that, when I ask you this question, you can only answer this right answer. That's not really education, True education is giving the tools for the person to really be able to flower and evolve, and understand one's own potential. That's education, at least for me. I'm sorry if I, contradict other people's views, but for me, education is not something that you lead or you follow through. Oh, here, let me take your hand. I'm going to walk you through the path. No, it's like saying, okay, here is a bunch of things that you can be very useful for you, and now you go and walk. You do your own path.
Here's the map. Here's the map. You have to go off.
Exactly. And you go, like you have my support. If you need any help, I help you, but I'm not going to lead you. I'm not going to show you the way, because, I have each person has their own way. Each person has their own truth, their own understanding. And that may change also with time, because we are evolving, we are changing. So these are very important aspects to understand, that we are not somebody or we are not something. We are happening. We are a process. We are becoming. We are evolving. So that is very important to have that understanding. We can be 94, like my grandfather, and still be changing and evolving. My grandfather, every day he's a different person. Every day he comes up with new ideas, and talks about. Of course, he has his routine, but within the routine, every day he's a different person. So we cannot fall into this kind of like self-fooling mechanism where we say, oh no, I'm like this. That's me. I'm hopeless. I cannot change. I'm already such an age, so I cannot learn anything. That's completely ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense. We are recreating our brain neurons. We can still create new brain neurons, throughout our life.
And that kind of brings me to kind of, the idea of creating your own reality. I really feel that kind of what you were talking about, the karmic imprints and the echo, this fact that we're just sort of echoing round. We don't have this solid existence, but that's a very hard thing to feel and understand when the world is, everything's changing. There seems to be sickness, degrading, and how to keep the mind in the body, how to keep ourselves present and to see reality for more of what it is than what we're projecting through our own, as Rabina Lama Yeshe says, the mind mirror. How do we keep that bit sort of fresh?
First of all, one of the main problems that we have is that we live in the past and the future a lot. So for example, we have a thought. The thought is maybe fear-based.
Yeah.
Based on fear. Like, I don't know, as an example, for example, we all have relationships, right? So a relationship, very good example that we can relate to. So if I make the example in a relationship, for example, so if we have a thought that's fear-based within a relationship, so like the example could be anything between like, anything that's based on our, maybe if we have an insecurity, we have a fear, we have something like that, like, maybe our partner has to go to work for 3 days somewhere, and then we have this thought of, maybe they're going to be, with someone else, or someone, they're talking to somebody and we want to know who that person is because we don't know who they are. So we start creating this fear-based thoughts. They don't really exist. That concept, the reality of that concept doesn't exist. Okay, it's just a fear-based thought based in the future. oh, this could happen. I could lose this person. Oh, this ta 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 pa 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 tu 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 ta ta ta. We create all these patterns that don't really make any sense, because if you actually check on the present right now, we have all the conditions to be happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, we have to learn how to adapt positively to any situation. That is also a big booster for being happy. But what I'm trying to go to is that we create a reality that doesn't really exist. It only exists in our mind. And that reality is based on thoughts that pop out from certain frequencies like fear or anger or attachment or jealousy, you know? So then that very low frequency brings a thought, and then we grasp that thought and we start feeding it. And then we believe it. Eventually we believe it. And maybe our partner comes back after 3 days and they were working really hard and they're really happy to see us and they're 100% love. But because we've been creating this pattern in our head, when the person comes, we talk to them badly, maybe. Or we have a bad attitude, negative attitude, or we are vicious or something like that. But maybe it's a reflection of ourselves. Maybe I wouldn't be loyal, so that's why I don't trust the other person, you know? But it all becomes like that, you know? It becomes this big kind of problem where there is no problem really. Because if you're really aware of here now, you understand that what matters is this. What's inside here about the future, what you don't want, what you want, that doesn't really matter. That's the main reason I think that we suffer many times, okay? It's because I want this, I don't want that, and everything else I don't care. Okay, so then we create this mind, you know, like I want this, if I don't get it, I'm not happy. So then we put that responsibility on our partner, for example, because now the example of relationship, this example can be universal in many different situations, okay? But we put the responsibility on the other person for our own happiness and for our own unhappiness also, which is temporary. It's temporary, but we don't even check that it's temporary, you know? We're so attached, we're so grasping, you know, to a concept that doesn't exist, really, in reality. So basically, I don't want to make it too complicated, but for you to understand is that from my view, one of the reasons why people suffer a lot is because we create realities that don't exist in our mind, and we create them based on low frequency vibration aspects, you know. So that is something we have to be really aware of. The moment a thought comes, we check, oh, where does this thought come? Why does it come? How does it come? What is it based on? Is it based on the ego? Is it an egoist thought? Is it based on me wanting something for me? You know, I will love you if you're only with me. I will love you if you live with me. I will love you if it's conditional. So it's not, and if you do it like that, if you talk to me like this, you know, many times in life, also a relationship, we have to adapt. My grandfather and my grandmother, they were married together for 75 years.
Wow.
You know, so, and it's not an easy task, you know. So my grandfather, the advice he gave me about relationship is like, you always have to, you know, like ceder, we say in Spanish, ceder. I don't know how you say in English. To say, okay, you're right.
Oh, in England, they say happy wife, happy life.
Happy
But I think,
so many times we have to, you know, if we hold on our ego, then we're going to be unhappy. So it's very important to let go, you know, to say, you know, to be humble, to be grateful. If we think about others first, then our problems disappear. If we stop thinking, there are no problems. Where is the problems? If we don't think, there's no problems. It's just a concept. Of course, many people will be like, oh, but my problem is real. Da, 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 da. Yeah, it's real because we feed it every day. We feed it, you know. But if you stop thinking, there is no problems. Because this body is affected by our stress, is affected by our thoughts and our negativity and our toxicity and our unhappiness and our depressions and all that. Of course, it's affected. And then, of course, the collateral of that is that the body reacts to that also, you know. So then the body suffers. So it's all in life, whatever we give, we receive. So everything is very interconnected. This is very important to understand. And that's the basis of universal education. You know, we work with emotions, and we work also with everything that surrounds us, you know, and we have to understand our relationship and also our mind, you know, the nature of the mind. The thoughts are just like clouds that pass by, you know, we cannot grasp and believe it and make that reality. We cannot, especially if it's based on an ego-based kind of thoughts, ego-based. I want, I don't want, you know, so that's why it's very simple. You let go the thoughts, no more problem. You prioritize others before yourself, then happiness is going to be there. Because you will receive what you give, always. That is a law. That is universal also. That's karma. And like in all religions relate to that aspect of karma. If you work hard now, if you act properly, then in the future you create better, you know, conditions to have a better life. That, I think all religions agree with that, you know. So and karma is one more aspect of that. It's just one more name, you know. I mean, you could, there's just the names, and it's not really that important, you know. We cannot be grasping on the names or on the concept. We just have to understand and let go. You understand and you let go, you know, and you live because we're here to live. I mean, what's the point? For example, it's true. I mean, we're here to live.
Yeah, 100%. We're here to.
Life is sharing. It's to share. What's the point if we're not going to share?
So when you see what's happening in the world at the moment, and we can see political systems, corruption, you know, abuse in society, poverty, and we're looking towards the future to plant new seeds, to think about the new civilization as the world changes, you know, as we see the changes that are coming with the pandemic, with global and climate and social justice. What actions do you feel are the most kind of beneficial at the moment if we're trying to get the essence of what you were just talking about into our daily lives? What kind of actions can we take?
Well, first of all, if we want to give the best of ourselves, then we have to start changing our mind. That's a basic. So our attitude has to be positive. Attitude right? So if we don't have a positive attitude, the energy we're giving already, it's not very positive, and then it's not really that beneficial. So it doesn't really matter the action or the words, you know, if we don't have the right intention, the right energy. So I think that's very important, and for that we have to be comfortable with ourselves. We have to be at peace with ourselves, and we have to be present. So the first step is to work on oneself, to really have a positive attitude every day, you know, so that you can really give that energy, you know, because it's gonna affect the collective. Maybe even if you're in retreat for 3 years and you don't see anybody for 3 years, what you're working on is gonna have an effect on the collective. You know, whether we see it or not, it's there. So yeah, there's a movie called The Butterfly Effect. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's that word is very specific for that kind of, you know, example, which is a butterfly flying on one side of the planet can create a tsunami on the other side of the planet, right? It's a very big exaggeration, but it's exactly what I'm trying to say is that the effect the mind has on everything, on reality, is huge. So that's why it's so important to be very aware of one's mind, one's feelings, you know, one's emotion, attitude. Because if you don't have that correct, then it doesn't really matter. Even if you really work really hard and you try your best to help others, you know, if your attitude is not correct, if you don't have a big heart, if you don't work on that, then the result is just going to be more of the same. So the first step would be that, you know, to really understand your love and how to really be love, you know, embodiment of that. I know it's, of course it's not at all easy. It's a lifelong task, but you have to start somewhere, right?
Yes, yeah, definitely. And I have certainly found it helpful in the last couple of years to try and be in my body and to be very grounded, and for that to be, yeah, no, that's so helpful, Osel. Thank you so much. Do you want to, I'll ask this one more question, then should we open it up to questions that are coming in on the chat? Jackie will ask ones, is that cool? So one more question and then questions from the floor.
Okay. I wanted to follow up on the sharing aspect.
Mm-hmm.
What if you think about it, okay, it's very, I mean, we don't really have much time, and I have so much, I would like to talk about this a lot, because this is, I think, the basis for a lot of mistakes, not mistakes, but like misunderstanding, okay, is the relationship we have with ourselves. That relationship we have with ourselves. So that is the issue. Many times we bypass, that relationship with ourselves, and we put something in the middle. So that can be a mistake. We can put anything. It can be materialistic, it can be conceptual, it can be, formless grasping, it can be anything, and it becomes refuge. So that, to put something in the middle of our relationship with us, it can become a mistake. So, for example, when we say guru, the guru is of course, is our savior in a way, right? Because without the guru, it's very difficult to really understand how to be liberated from samsara.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't make the mistake of saying the guru is everything and the guru is going to save me and I don't have to do anything and I just put all the responsibility for the guru. And if I don't evolve and if I don't improve after 20 years, then it's the guru's fault. This kind of concept is completely wrong.
Mm.
I mean, we're mixing 21st century with the feudal concept, the feudal kind of tradition of guru devotion. We're completely mixing it up. So we have to be very practical and realistic, right? The guru is amazing, but we cannot hold the guru responsible for our own actions and for our own negligence. So that's why you cannot, that's a very big mistake. So the relationship with you cannot put anything in the middle and say, okay, now it's their fault or this didn't work out. No, it's like, it's your own responsibility. So that is something that I really wanted to say, that it's very important, that you are the responsible one for yourself. So you cannot say, oh, it's karma, oh, it's destiny, oh, I have no, option, I have no, like that. No, that's being a coward. You cannot be like, oh, I have no choice, or I'm in the guru's hands and the guru knows better, and so I'll just follow him and that's it. That's complete bypassing. So you have to take responsibility, okay? And the guru is there to help us, to really shine light on our path.
Oh, did you make coffee?
But the guru is not the path, okay? And that's why, so sharing the relationship with ourselves is very important, because we share that with ourselves. We share everything with ourselves every day of our life.
Mm.
We have to understand that we are our own best friend. So if we don't respect, if we don't love, if we don't take care of ourselves and really have devotion and understanding for ourselves, then it's very difficult to really be able to expand that.
Yeah.
For me, it happens, like if I have to cook for myself, I probably wouldn't make anything special. But if there's other people, then I make something special, then if for other people, yes, but for myself, no. Why is that? That kind of concept, okay? So this is important, that kind of relationship. So we share everything with ourselves, be it good or be it bad. So just be aware of that, that our relationship with ourselves is very important, to be clear in that sense. And that's what universal education is there for, is to help us understand that relationship with ourselves. Okay? That relationship is all about sharing. And life is about sharing. If we don't share, if there are no other sentient beings, how can we reach enlightenment? How can we be liberated from samsara? So it's thanks to other sentient beings that we have the opportunity to practice compassion and bodhicitta. Okay? All right. So
So obviously we're at the end of this amazing Big Love Festival, and we're celebrating 40 years of universal education, you know, from the seeds that Lama Yeshe planted to all the amazing individuals and groups that have worked so hard to manifest the setting up of the organization, everything. What do you think energies should be focused on in the next 40 years? What's your, when you know, what do you think the most beneficial actions and what's the most beneficial focus for universal education going forward, I guess?
I think that's a dangerous question for me.
Oh, danger.
I'm gonna say, Viva la revolución. Yeah, I mean, it is a revolution. Every day is a revolution. Every day we're reborn, every night we're dying.
Yeah.
Small example, it's a small metaphor of our life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and one life is like a day and a night, okay, basically. So we wake up in the morning, we're fresh, we're young, we're active, we're eager. Slowly, when the night comes, we get more tired, we get sleepy, and then eventually we have to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Die. And then we're reborn again in the day. So every day is a revolution. Every day is a new thing. It's a new discovery. We're learning every day. We're bombarded by thousands of information. Okay, so like images or like information, sounds, or any kind of thing. You know, we are recreating reality every second through the information we receive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's an interpretation, really, actually. We interpret reality through our senses. So every day is new, right? So we cannot say, oh, I'm this, that's it, I have done everything I have to do, and today I don't have to.
Yeah.
Today I don't have to breathe. Right? Today, you can't, you know, every day there's so many different interdependent aspects that we have to maintain in order to be alive, like breathing. So in that sense, it is like a revolution, because every time it's something new, we have to be adapting, we have to be learning, we have to be aware and prepared. So this concept of stagnation, of relaxing, of this, oh, it's like this, it's always worked like that, we'll just keep on doing it like that, we don't have to change, we don't have to improve. That is a big mistake, because that way you're never going to be able to really evolve properly. Because even the day we're dying, we're learning the process of death. So there's not one day that is not a revolution. There's not one day that we have to be on top of things and innovating, you know, and inventing also, and improvising and adapting.
Yeah.
So, you know, we think, oh, now I'm 30, or now I'm 40, or now I'm 50, now I'm 60, that's it, you know, like now I can't really travel, or I can't discover things or learn new things. That's not true, man. Every single second of your life is an opportunity to learn, to be whoever you want to be, to be of service and help other sentient beings, you know, like, and to love oneself and understand, learn new things, you know, like for me, I would love to do like a course now of like interior design or exterior decoration. Yeah. That's something I would like to do, you know, and why not? It has nothing to do with Dharma, you know, but why not? You know, it's something that I wanted to do when I was younger. So it's like that, you know, that I think that is my answer to your question, is that, you know, that we have to be doing the revolution every day.
Yeah.
Don't relax. Don't sit down and relax and say, okay, that's it, I'm done. Because you know, if you're scared of death, then you're scared of life. You know? Because life and death is part of the same thing, you know, it's the same process. So if you're scared of death and you're trying to avoid death like that, then you're avoiding life. You accept death and then you embrace life. It's not a negative thing. It's not like saying, oh, every day, oh, I'm gonna die, and oh, if I think I'm gonna die, I'm gonna attract that. It's negative. No, it's not like that. It's just being aware and being realistic. You know, we exist because everything is impermanent. You know, the only thing that's not impermanent is space. Everything else is changing constantly. And thanks to that, life exists. You know, so that's what I can really appreciate, you know, by understanding that everything is impermanent. And that this body is just temporary, you know, and one day it'll become worm food or stardust. So that's why when we are here, we understand that every moment is essential, every moment is crucial. Then that's when we understand, you know, that there's no time to procrastinate, even though procrastination is very important also.
Oh, it's I'm just going to ask one more question that's kind of come to me, because you were talking about this earlier and I find it really hard. So, you know, you're trying to change the way you live. You're trying to be more in accordance with nature, with the elements. But we're living in this society where we've created systems where we're giving our consent to government and to all these corporations. And it's so hard because, yes, you can vote with your pound, you can buy ethically, you can do, but it's very hard when the structures and the systems around you, you know, I wonder whether those things need to be dismantled or transformed from inside, or what would you say?
Yeah. So, for example, rubbish. I think rubbish is a good example. People that accumulate rubbish in 1 year and it fits in a little jar.
Amazing. Yeah.
Rubbish cannot be recycled. I'm talking about, you know, rubbish that is,
yeah.
It doesn't. It stays there, right?
Forever. Yeah.
Where people they open the jar and they go through each little piece of rubbish, and they explain why they couldn't avoid accumulating this rubbish. You know, so it's very interesting. You know, that way you can also learn and understand and investigate. There was something else I wanted to mention about that too. Is our lifestyle. You know, it's, of course, you know, like, for example, in my case, I want to be able to change, but many times we don't have sufficient initiative to really put it in practice. Okay. So, for example, if I wanted to live the type of life I want to live, I would have to be living in the middle of a jungle, you know, and I wouldn't have many of the facilities that I have, which are very convenient. So in a way, I am being selfish in that sense, because I prefer to have those conveniences than actually sacrificing that and making sure that I don't have a big impact, carbon impact, or with rubbish. So in that way, I am a hypocrite, and I recognize it. I have a car, I drive a car, and I am a hypocrite. Yes, I am a hypocrite.
But we all are. This is the thing where, you know, for me, it's, I guess I'm thinking also, you know, the energy we do use is to try and do good and to do positive things. And I guess the balance of the consumption with being able to neutralize your carbon footprint, but also energetically what you're giving to the world, you know, supporting ourselves in communities is probably something in the future that, you know, hopefully we'll all be part of collectives and communities so we can share these, you know, share cars, share tools, share bills, you know, it's...
Well, for example, right now, there's a concept, okay, there's a phrase I like very much. It says, if it's free, you're the product, right? Do you understand that concept? So if they're offering it to you for free, it means that you are the product.
Yes, they're making you the commodity. Yeah,
they're selling your information.
Yep.
Publicity, and then they make money, and so you are the product. So it's not really free. Okay, so this concept, I think it's important to be aware of that, because that's also something that we don't even realize. We don't even understand that we're giving our consent and we're being exploited every day.
Yes.
We're making a lot of money just with our existence, just because we are human. So, for example, there's a very good friend of mine. His name is Eric. He's the founder of Tribal Data, I think it's called. And one of the things that they're doing is you just consent. You give the same consent, you know, of your privacy. I mean, I don't know if it's privacy, but the same thing that Facebook does.
Yeah, data collection and algorithms and yeah.
So instead of making money for a big multinational, they plant trees. So you just sign an agreement, and then you don't have to do anything with the money that they. I mean, I think they give you publicity. You can choose the publicity you want to receive, and then through that they generate a certain income, and then they plant trees.
Amazing.
Right? Project in Madagascar, they're planting trees for 10 cents each. 10 cents.
Wow.
Now it's already active in Spain and England. And
Amazing.
so we're going to do a collaboration with GTI and them also. But it's just to show you that we are entering a new era. So we are able, we have to empower ourselves. And in order to do that, we have to inform ourselves and understand really which is our power. What power do we have, And really keep that power and use it for what we want to do, to how to benefit, how to impact the world in a positive way, and not allow others just to take the power and use it for their own kind of egoistic, materialistic accumulation, So I think that's why also it's very important to inform ourselves. And these days there's a lot of information and a lot of misinformation.
Yeah.
I don't know if I wouldn't recommend the internet. I would recommend more books, real books. That's what my grandfather says. It's the advice from my grandfather. He says, don't expect to learn anything talking with people, with your friends and all that, or looking in the internet videos. That's what he says. You won't learn anything there. If you want to learn something, read books.
Oh, that's really helpful. That's really helpful. Thank you so much, Osel. That's amazing. Should we open to some questions? If you happy to
Yes.
do some more?
Yes.
Thank you. Jackie, are you good for some questions? Hey, Victoria.
Hi, is Jackie around? Is she unmuted?
I think so.
Okay, great.
I'm muted. Okay, Osel, you've got a number of questions that have come in from the audience. Number one, could you please explain the relationship between universal education and Dharma? Was the question clear?
Yep.
Okay. So Dharma and universal education, of course, I'm sure most of you know also about C learning, social, ethical, and emotional learning, right? Which is by Emory University, also inspired by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So they go together hand in hand. Universal education and C learning. Of course, and Dharma also. So, but what is Dharma? Dharma is a universal thing. It's not like, Dharma is only of the Tibetans, or it's only of the followers of Buddha. Before Buddha, Dharma already existed. It's a technique. Technique, a universal technique that functions perfectly well with our universal being, because the technique is universal as well. So it's not like suddenly the Buddha arrived and he invented that technique. That the technique has always been there. So he discovered it and he shared it with us. That technique, the information for that technique, for that understanding of our own potential and working our mind and discovering, and uncovering our true nature, okay, the clear light, that technique can be called Dharma like it can be called anything else, as long as it follows that technique, right? And each person, of course, has a different kind of variation of how that technique can work or not. So it becomes very relative in that sense. So you cannot just say, Dharma, and put it in a box and that's it. No. So Dharma for each person is completely different. Okay, for me, I can talk for myself. Dharma for me is the perfect tool for a happier and more fulfilling life, basically. And it helps me. How does it give me that tool? It helps me to adapt positively to any situation. And with that, that's the tools that is that offers me to live a happier and more fulfilling life. And how is by being able to also help others to understand that. For me, that's Dharma. Okay. And the golden rule for all religions, for example, is the same. Okay, if it's something that you don't like for yourself, you don't give it to others. If it's something that you like for yourself, that's what you offer. And if you can help, help. If you can't help, at least don't harm, right? That's the golden rule for all the religions.
Yeah.
So basically, Dharma and universal education, their relationship is exactly the same intention or the same objective, is to give you the tools to really be able to flower.
Okay, so people want to know, how can you be positive when you see the news or the problems in the world? What can be done?
I mean, like I said, if you don't start with yourself, it's very important. I mean, it's very difficult to really be able to have any impact at all. So, and one mistake, for example, let's say, this is a great example, watching TV, for example.
Yep.
Some people, you watch TV and you get depressed. So it's not that the TV is depressing you. You are depressing yourself, right? Becoming angry or losing patience. You know, it's not that that person made you lose patience. You lost patience with yourself. You know, when you get angry because you get angry with yourself. It's not like, oh, I'm angry at that person. No, you're angry with yourself, actually. It's a self-reflection. It always comes back to oneself. So in that aspect, the way to really be able to help is not to permit to be affected in that way, because it's not the fault of the other person. It's not the fault of the TV. It's not the fault of the news. It's not the fact that humans are suffering because they're in samsara. It's because of the way we see it. I don't know if I'm explaining myself. It's our perspective. So you change your perspective, you change your life, right?
Yeah.
For example, I mean, of course, it's good to inform oneself and to understand the situation in the world, but that doesn't mean that now we have to be depressed and unhappy, because then we're just creating more of the same.
It's that's such a good point. And one of the speakers this week, Craig, because it is about recognizing that we're generating our own emotion. And one of the exercises that he does, that I've done for the last 10 years with young people. So we look at a plant and we generate and we say something positive about the plant. So it's so beautiful and green, it's so lush. And then we say something neutral about it. And then we generate a negative feeling and say something nasty about the plant. And it's been one of the greatest tools for helping me help young people recognize that actually, like you say, we're doing it to ourselves. You know, we
are the channel.
Yeah.
Okay? If I'm angry at someone and I shout at them, I'm hurting myself because I'm channeling those harsh words. I'm channeling that. I'm channeling that energy. You know, so that's why it's a relationship with ourselves. It's very important to understand that. So if I'm going to watch TV, my intention to watch TV is to inform myself and to have a boost of wanting to really, work harder. You know, I don't let TV depress me. Oh, it's impossible. Oh, this. Oh, it's. Oh, I'm going to give up. There's no solution to humanity. Well, I mean, I do believe there's no solution to humanity. It's true, but I don't allow it to depress me. I mean, I seriously believe that humans are destined to destroy themselves. That's it. You know, like we humans, we are destined. We have too much intelligence, so we destroy ourselves, and it's very kind of sarcastic in a way and ironic. But that's the nature of the human mind, I guess. I don't know, or maybe not. Maybe not. That doesn't make me depressed. It just shows me a way to be more realistic. For me, it's normal that we're destroying the Amazon, and that if there's COVID. Oh, it's a bigger opportunity to even burn more of the Amazon because people are not they're too focused on COVID. You know, so it's horrible. But it's something that is also a reflection of our own mind. We also have that aspect in ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, so if we are able to neutralize that and have the perspective of life in a positive thing, then we can slowly transform that.
Mm.
So we are the active ingredient for that transformation. So to see something and become depressed and unhappy because something bad is happening is not realistic. Because
Thank you.
in the end, we are happy. We are always happy. Our nature is to be happy. We are loving kindness. That's our nature.
So spending time in your nature.
The way the perspective we want to have of life.
Mm.
It's our choice. It's our choice. It's a choice, really. It's your choice to have the perspective you want to have. And depending on that perspective, your attitude is also going to change.
Mm. Mm. Well, we're a few minutes over, so but should we do a few more questions?
Yeah, as many as you want. I have all day.
Okay. Amazing. Oh, excellent. I am at this point though also going to plug the fact that Osel is talking next week as well on the 5th of December. It's at 12 o'clock and Jackie is sharing the link in the chat. So if anyone's interested in hearing more, then, oh, that was a lovely smile. Hearing more, then that would be great. Thank you. I can see the host has shared it. Should we have another question, Jackie?
Yes, and I just want to make it clear that 12 o'clock is 12 o'clock in Florida. And it's
thank
6
you.
o'clock in Spain, and it's 5 o'clock in England. So you have to check your world clock to make sure.
And in Spain, it's 6.
6 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening in Spain, 5 o'clock in the evening in England, and 12 noon on the East Coast of America. So the next question, Osel, is people want to know, are social and environmental justice and universal education and the same thing?
If they're all the same thing?
Yes, social and environmental justice and universal education. In other words, is universal education social and environmental justice?
So what is that? What is it? I don't know what it is.
So environmental justice is around the climate emergency. So obviously performing, and then the kind of social aspect is, as we're seeing, you know, the Black Lives Matter movement, we're seeing women mobilizing, we're seeing lots of groups calling for social justice, for equality throughout society.
I don't know if we will ever have justice.
No, but I mean,
you is too strong. So the love of power is much stronger than the power of love for justice to exist. It doesn't mean that we have to be unhappy and depressed. I mean, I doubt very much that there can be justice, because the people in power have absolutely no interest at all whatsoever to really offer justice. And the few people that are in charge cannot keep getting richer. And their satisfaction has no limits. And they're probably the most unhappy people also. So it's a big contradiction. It's a big chaos. You know, so the first thing is to understand that in our mind, to understand really what the situation is. Not to project things, but to really understand, to inform. You know, and once you have that sorted out, then you can start to create a clear projection of how we would like it to be. Starting with our own selves, okay? If we don't start ourselves, it doesn't make any sense. You know, we cannot just, oh, I project this or that on that person, or I want this, or this person should change, or they should do it like that. You know, if we don't work it on ourselves, you know, then.
And
so,
if we're working on ourselves, but for me, you know, obviously Reg is a brown man, and you know, the Black Lives Matter and racism and also patriarchy, you know, the fact that all of these systems are so, you know, created by white men, really. How do, you know, should people be active in those causes?
I mean, of course, you have to understand colonialism and imperialism and capitalism and the system and all these things are based, they are structures that are created to ensure that the few people are in power and have a growing income. And the rest of the people are just workers. And that kind of structure has existed for thousands of years. It's not something new. The only difference is that now we are very well informed, well, better informed, maybe not very well informed, better informed. We have a lot of information available. So we have to be able to know how to filter that information properly. Because if we don't filter it properly, then we make that mistake, you know, of being affected or making the wrong decisions. So it's not like, oh, there's going to be no justice now. I'm unhappy, I throw the towel, I give up. No, it's like, okay, there's going to be no justice, but at least I'm going to participate and I'm going to put something positive, something good.
Yeah.
On my part. And if we all slowly start doing that, then there will be change. Because the power is of the people, you know, the collective. And the individuals have no power, really. So for me, I mean, if the whole planet, you know, followed the example of Bhutan as a government, you know, where they're really interested in the happiness of their citizens, which is really the most important aspect for a government.
Yes, should be.
With the politicians, they're more businessmen than politicians. And a politician or a king or a leader is actually the servant of the people. They are at the service of the people, you know. And they should be poets, and they should be writers, and they should be musicians, and they should be people who are real, you know, people who are connect with the heart, you know, that have an understanding of compassion and communication skills and all these aspects, basic values in life, you know. And that for me is a leader. You know, someone who's behind, you know, not someone who thinks he's the boss of the universe and then now I'm going to become richer because I have the opportunity, and then when I'm done, my 4 years is done, then that's it, you know, I don't really care about that. I mean, and that aspect is our mistake by offering, by giving, by you know, allowing that power to be, you know,
but in
work that way. So that is as humanity, we've been doing that mistake for thousands of years.
It's so true. I mean, you're talking about democracy and you're saying, you know, ideally it's for the people, by the people, so the people govern themselves. But with career politicians, people who have never worked anywhere but in government, they have no idea what it's like for normal people. It's a model that isn't working, I think, in a lot of ways.
It's working for many people. It is working because that's how they want it to work.
Well, yes.
You know, so it's not that
exactly.
it's working. It's a perspective of the people who are making it work like that. And then many of us, we just follow that because that's what we need. We don't know anything, any alternative existence. For example, the straws, when they were plastic, we use plastic straws. And now they're not plastic, now they're organic, and we use organic straws. But have we changed? We haven't really changed. We just adapt to what they give us. You know, they show us, this song, it's a really good song. Maybe it's a really bad song. But just because we're bombarded by that song, then we like it, we listen to it, and it's like, oh, it's a commercial song. But actually, and maybe there's some really good songs that are amazing, and they're not commercial because the people who are singing them are not connected with the people who are making the money, you know. So it's all you know, or this one. It's not really about quality. It's not really about, you know, offering the best. It's more about, you know, like who is in charge,
consumption,
with whom, and that's it, you know. So I don't know. I think it's important to start at an individual level.
Yeah.
Right. So at an individual level, it's very important. You know, for example, for me, this Friday, I'm going to only buy vegetables from one person who plants organic vegetables. So I'm not going to buy vegetables in a supermarket. Obviously, I have that opportunity because I don't live in a city. If I lived in a city, I wouldn't have that opportunity to be able to buy just vegetables without the packaging. You know, they're organic. So that's like one step I'm taking. You know, and of course, I try accumulate the least possible rubbish, and I try to walk as much as I can and not use the car when, when I don't need the car, I don't use it like that. Slowly, small details together become the big detail. So you have to start with the small ones, small details, step by step.
Thank you. That's such a good piece of advice.
So maybe we should do, there's quite a few questions here. Maybe we can take them over into another conversation. But one important question is, people are asking, what is the one thing you would say to someone like a teenager who is depressed and suicidal? What could you say to them to help them?
Wait a little bit. Wait.
Sorry?
Wait a little.
What?
Wait a little bit.
Wait.
That's how I would tell myself that if I was suicidal.
I think that, yeah, that's a very hard question.
Very, very difficult, because depression is a real thing.
Huge.
Maybe it's more of a concept, but for some people it's a real thing. It's a sickness, and it's a big issue. And I understand, because I've struggled with depression a lot throughout my life. So I mean, it's, of course, it depends on the person. So what can I say? I mean, what can you say? I mean, of course, a hug and advice and to listen. For me, I think the most important thing is to listen. If someone is suffering, they don't want to listen to you giving your advice. No way. They want to just get the shit out. They want to get their pain out. They want to be recognized. They want to say, okay, like, I exist. I matter. So the best thing you can do to help someone that's suffering is to listen, basically. And don't talk.
And also, when you hold this,
adequate.
Oh, sorry.
Speak when it's adequate. Then you say
the
right things, but not too much. Not try to impose. Not try to make yourself important and feel good because you're helping. It's more about understanding and listening to the person.
And actually recognizing it as normal. We all have these not everyone as far, but we all have, it's a normal thing. People do experience it.
We're in samsara.
Yeah, for sure.
So when you understand that you're in samsara, that we are inside a cycle of life and death based on attachment, on our clinging. So when you understand that, then it's normal, that in life it happens, right? And of course, if it's only good, then you can't really value that either. So we have a balance. We are very lucky to be human, because as an animal we can't really practice Dharma because we're suffering so much. We're always scared and we don't have the capacity. And if we're God, also we cannot practice Dharma because we're just pure pleasure, pure realm, like in ecstasy, constant ecstasy. We don't have the concept of suffering, so then when our merits finish, we go straight back down to the lower realms. So to be a human, to have a human rebirth is so lucky, because we have both. We suffer and we enjoy, and we can balance it, and both of them are complementary because they help us to understand and value what we have and what we don't need also. With selfishness. That's the main cause for suffering, is that kind of selfish mind, self-centeredness.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Should we have one more?
Okay.
And then could we line up one of the songs possibly? Because it would be nice to have a song and then Victoria can do the close.
Okay.
Yeah, is that cool? Cool.
So also, when someone breaks trust, when they disrespect an agreement, how do you keep the heart open while also protecting one's boundaries? And this person is looking for an answer in practical ways, not just emptiness and compassion. But how do you deal with the practical reality, the practical conventional reality of someone breaking your trust or disrespecting you?
Oh, it's your karma. There's nothing to do. Your karma. No, I'm joking. So this is very tricky because again, it's very relative. Each individual is different, and then when it comes to two individuals, also the relationship is very different. But to break the trust, I mean, that's also based on your perspective. So, for example, me, I have a very, very, very big limit of breaking my trust. So, for example, like you can break my trust, or like break my trust a lot, and I'll always try to keep that trust alive because my limit is long, right? Because I want to trust. I want to be able to give opportunities. But then at the same time, also, I'm very practical in that sense because I try to have a limit. I try to say, okay, this person has had many opportunities. They do not really value or appreciate or even respect the opportunity that I'm offering. So that's it. So that's it. I cut. And that is self-love, also self-worth, self-respect. Because if I'm giving energy to somebody who does not really appreciate, and just takes for granted what I'm trying to do for them, then it's counterproductive for me and for them. So in that sense, you have to know where to cut. And that also helps the other person to take responsibility. To be like, oh, wow, because in Spanish we have this saying, says, la confianza da asco. Trust is disgusting. I know it sounds very weird, it sounds very strange, but if you think about it, it's true. Like, for example, I love to use examples. When you meet somebody new in a couple, like when you start a new relationship, right? Then what are you trying to do? You're trying to impress the other person. You're trying to give them a version of yourself that's not really you, right? You're trying to show the best version of yourself, which is not real. Maybe the first week or the first month, you're very, very respectful, really kind, very considerate, attentive, you adapt easily, because you want to appear in a certain way. You want to give a certain image. But it's more about a self kind of concept. Like, I want to feel good about myself because I want to make the other person think that I'm really nice and cool. So that's how I make myself, I feel better that way. But then it gets to a point when you know the person very well, and then you start looking outside for other things, and you're distracted and this and that, and then you're just used to it, and then suddenly you don't care. You don't really care what they think. You let all the shit come out. So then that's where the confidence, that's the problem. That is the problem. We just don't care anymore, right? So that kind of confidence should never exist. We should always try to be in our best behavior with everybody at all times, no matter what. Why? Because that behavior is not for others. That behavior is for oneself. So you have to have the behavior with you. So if you have that good behavior with you, then you have the good behavior with everybody, no matter what, at any time of the day. Even if you are living with that person for 75 years, your behavior is a positive attitude. I learned that from my grandfather. My grandmother would be a bit toxic sometimes. She was quite aggressive and negative, but my grandfather would always neutralize it because he was so positive. So my grandmother would be shouting, going crazy, and then my grandfather would be so chill and so relaxed that eventually he would switch my grandmother. And my grandmother would be really relaxed and happy and chill. So in that sense, I think it's very important to have a very correct attitude with oneself, not so that people think you're cool. Appearance is not important, really. I mean, for some people, it may be the most important, but from my perspective, appearance is not important. Appearance is really, it's what is appearance? Appearance is fake, really. So what is important is the true inner values. So if you want to work on that, then that's the most important thing. And if you're going to judge someone, only judge yourself. And even then you can't really judge yourself because you don't really know yourself very well. So that's my advice. In this case, when someone breaks that confidence, your trust, it depends on how many times they've broken the trust, if it's productive or not to keep, offering that trust or not. So it's very relative in that sense. But my advice is that it's do not base your decisions on other people's way of reacting or acting or their attitude. Base your decisions on your intention and what you want to achieve or how you want to be. Because if we base our decisions on how people act, then we're doomed. We're doomed. Because then we don't have our life in our hands. Our life is in the hands of other people. You know, so we have to take responsibility. We have to take our own power. We cannot give our power to others. You know, oh, he reacted like that. Now I'm going to react really bad. They said this. Oh, no, I'm going to. Then we're giving our power to the other person. You understand? So it's always, you know, maintain a straight line. And be loyal to that, you know. Don't go all over the place trying to please other people or create some kind of appearance, you know, because in the long run, you're just hurting yourself. In the end, people don't really care because people just think about themselves, you know. People are very selfish and egocentric. Most of us are. I am. So in the end, people don't really care who you are or what you want to be or not. You know, they care about themselves. They may show the appearance of caring at a certain point. So in the end, what we have is ourselves. So the most important thing is to work on that. And then we have to, of course, once we worked on that, then we can really start caring for others. You know, so that it's very subtle things that I'm trying to explain here. We have to be aware of. Okay, and it's also very easy to misunderstand. So it's good to ask questions. Okay?
So there's just one last question before we move into the song. People want to know how to get a t-shirt like yours, Osel.
A teacher? What do you mean a teacher?
Sure.
Like my teacher, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama.
No, like your t-shirt.
What?
The shirt you're wearing.
Oh, my
Your t-shirt. How do we get one?
I got this in Vajrapani.
I think Vajrapani sells.
So, but I'm sure there's many t-shirts like that. We just have to find where.
Well, this one's particularly special because that's Lama Yogi's handwriting.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Correct.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Beautiful.
More t-shirts.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Should we?
My mistakes and sorry for my ignorant mind and my narrow mind. I'm still learning, and please correct me if I'm mistaken. And I'm learning with you also simultaneously. Okay, so and I'm learning from you. So thank you so much to give me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Osel. Thank you, Anna. Absolutely, and thank you, Jackie. It's so inspiring. I mean, I'm so moved, and I see the chat. Everybody else moved too. Thank you so much for being so generous and sharing. I think we've got a song now, right? Can we just play the song? Should we do a dedication? Does everybody feel moved to do some sort of dedication before the song? Do you want to do that, Anna? Osel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Dharma, Buddhist dedication or universal dedication?
Universal education.
Universal.
So let us dedicate our space, our energy, our time, and our intention to benefit all Mother Sentient beings in all dimensions, in all times, in all the universes. Thank you. Maybe that was a bit Dharma, maybe.
It was great. Thank you so